What's going on, YouTube? This is the final part of my Coming Together series. First little series I've put together, um, and also a good starting point for a series because it just kind of explains where I'm coming from. Um, so, um, doing more research, I did research on Islam. It has a lot of followers, and a lot of followers um, that were from various the followers were dynamic. Um, I found that the Quran was filled with truths and more answers to the invisible world and science than probably people of the Bible are used to. And here's the thing: like nobody is comfortable sharing all this information with one another. Everybody's so Eastern, Western, or Middle East. You can't take it all and just dump the bath water and keep the baby. It's got to be so black and white, and that's what's holding a lot of people back. The world is holding a lot of people back. The world is not so black and white. Um, it's not this or that. It's really a mixture of a lot of different things playing together because we're all interwoven into this big experience. So Islam had a lot of truths in it, and I was interested in it for a while. I studied it. Now, understanding how religions worked, though, and functioned, I could get to the bottom of it quicker. So I researched the history, registered that with my heart, um, and it just has a. There's some truths that get people on the path to positivity with Islam and love, but it's. I just learned that with all religions, it's really just dependent on the underlying base and the intent of the person. And then looking into the history of Islam and how it was started, and some disharmony with the truths that I have, um, I I didn't practice it. So, but it's still a positive religion. I can see it for what it is, and um, it is another main religion. Um, I mean, religion in itself is kind of fading away in today's day and age. We've got the truth out there at a million miles an hour with the internet. So it's something that we might evolve past. Um, so that was Islam. I learned that, and so this is kind of what's funny because it started on the west, and then moved across, and then Gnostic Gospels were east and west, and then I moved to the Middle East, and then I moved to Buddhism, and Buddhism really caught my attention. I found its laws to be universal, unintrusive, and compatible with everything I was already believing. I still believe in Yeshua. I still believe in God. I just have a better understanding of how those things work now, and those beliefs have been backed up in my reality. So, um, Buddhism didn't conflict with any of those, and a lot of people they have misconceptions about Eastern religions. They just kind of, especially in the West, you know. I mean, I like to think that I like to surround myself with educated people, but then there's just some people, you know, when you tell them what you're doing, you're like, no, that's not what it's about. And they're like, oh, I heard Buddhist people were crazy, and they just sit there and chant and say all day. And no, you got to do the research yourself. Don't let people tell you or throw you down when people, because people don't know. Nobody else is going to do the research. You got to do it if you care about what you're trying to cultivate in, which is yourself, which is the best thing you could invest in yourself. invest in your lifetime. So, I learned about Buddhism. I learned about yoga and began to practice that in conjunction with my beliefs about Yeshua, learning more about God, and being able to just pretty much live and move forward. You know, there's only so much you're going to be able to read, and there's only so many YouTube videos out there that you're going to watch. There's going to be only so much, but it just got to get to the point where you gotta get it for yourself, and you gotta really understand it. You gotta overstand it internally for it to start to show externally. So, I once I learned Buddhism, I was just doing yoga and keeping up with practices, learning more about my chakras, learning how those work, reading books on Kundalini, spiritual energies that had a lot of explanation of things that I was looking for in the Western religions that I couldn't find on the invisible world. And the Eastern religions seem to provide me with that, possibly because they're more introverted culture, so they're more understanding on how to cultivate internally rather than our society. But we do know how to project externally over here. So once my inside is right and I can show it on the outside, I will be in pretty good harmony. And that's where that's the whole point of this. You know, that's the whole point of this path of religion. It's just so you can have what's inside be accurate with what's on outside. You know, and your spirit to be blended with your consciousness, so that you're aware of what you're doing, you're aware of who you are, and your true purpose and intent of being on this earth, and be comfortable with that, and then acting accordingly. That's the point. That's the point of searching for the answers. And the world's only going to provide you with so many, and then you got to start taking them upon yourself, and then learning and doing, and it'll provide you with even more answers to more things and more complexity. So with Buddhism is where my religious journey has stopped, but it's where my spiritual journey really got to begin, because there's no more religions that I'm searching for. There's no more. There's definitely people to learn from, and there's definitely texts still out there for me that I have to learn. But the basics, there's enough people out here that have a lot of the truths of things that we can't see right now. You just got to go out there and find the information, and listen and share with your brothers and sisters that are experiencing this earth at the same time as you. So with Buddhism, I've cultivated a lot of different spiritual, I guess I've worked out my spiritual body and gained new things, new ways of thinking, new things that manifest. I understand a lot more about dimensions, and these are all things that I want to get into on this YouTube channel. But I felt that I had to put a starting ground where it started, which for my Western way was religion, but it did end up breaking free from that and liberating myself to becoming more conscious spiritually, while still being a human version of being. So keep subscribe, keep in touch with this channel, because I've got a lot to talk about on what I've learned since I've been propelled forward. Because with the Buddhism is pretty much where I'm going to stop. But I'm going to start with more things, because there's more truths out there that I can help bring to light. All right, you guys. That is coming together, and it's called coming together because it's simple. It's just the Eastern and Western coming together without any conflicts or friction, and being comfortable having both internally and the merge inside.